Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel. Peter likes books. And I am so excited for this review today. I know people don't love review videos, I understand. And I've actually had all kinds of videos ready to film this last week, but let me just show you, okay? I'm sitting in front of my ring light right now. It is getting so dark in Indianapolis so early. It gets dark here now by like 3:30 or 4. Now let me turn off my ring light and let me show you, okay? Hello, can you see me? No, can you imagine? That was like back in the day of the early days of Peter Likes Books when I had no like lights or anything. It was horrible in here. So anyway, it's still not great with the shadows and stuff, but every time I go to film a video for this channel, it's so dark in here. I don't have, you know, the light to do it, and I just like the shadows look bad and stuff, so I'm like, but from now going forward, I'm just going to make my videos and we'll just deal with the shadows. Only the shadow knows, okay? So anyway, I wanted to talk about a book today, which I think might be one of my new all-time favorite Christmas books, okay? And I have to tell you, I didn't know anything about this book when I went into it, and I was really surprised that I ended up loving it as much as I did, right? Okay, so let me give you a little back history. Last year, I wanted to read a ton of Christmas books, and I don't even really remember how many I read, like 5, 7, 8, something like that. But I read like The Christmas Train by David Baldacci, which I had previously read, but I listened to it on Audible. I read a bunch of books. I just can't, a Richard Paul Evans book, I can't remember. I read like 6 or 7, 8 books, I don't know. Some of them were good, some of them were corny, it just, whatever. So anyway, but I didn't really have a bunch of books this year that I wanted to read for Christmas. I just didn't know which books to read. I am reading currently, what's it called? Holidays on Ice by David Sedaris. It's our December book for Peter's Book Club. So if you want to join Peter's Book Club, it's listed below. Next year, 2019, is a year of true crime. We are starting with The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule. That is our January book. By the way, if you read I'll Be Gone in the Dark, which was our, I don't know, April book or something like that, about the Golden State Killer, and you have Audible, please go listen to Evil Has a Name. The whole thing is put together by Paul Holes and the other 2 investigators. It's like an audio documentary. It is fantastic. It is so good. But anyway, so I was talking to my vlog one night, and I was saying that I don't really have any holiday books that I want to read. And somebody recommended to me, I want to make sure I have the author's name right, The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. I had never heard of this book before, and it's interesting because this book came out in October of 2017, and on Goodreads it has a collective star rating of 4 stars, but then it has 4,143 ratings and 1,188 reviews. Not a lot in comparison to other books that are, you know, on Goodreads. I mean, there's some that have hundreds and thousands and all that kind of stuff. So it was interesting to me, and I was like, I've never heard of this book. I went and kind of like read the synopsis of it, and I was like, I think this would be a fun book to read. Plus, I wanted to read something that was young adult, right? The thing about this book is, and I said this about The Christmas Room. Oh, that was one of the books I read last year was The Christmas Room. You know, I said this about The Christmas Room last year, is that it wouldn't have to necessarily be a Christmas story. Now, this one is so heavily loaded on Christmas, and I'm going to tell you kind of a little bit of the concept. I won't spoil this for you because I can't even tell you too much about it because it will ruin the whole thing, right? So I'm not going to do that because listen, I love Christmas. I'm Christmassy all day long, even though I haven't got my Christmas tree up. I'm getting ready to do that here in just a couple minutes for the last couple days of Christmas. It's just a little Charlie Brown Christmas tree. But I'm not going to ruin somebody's Christmas spirit, but if you're looking for a last-minute book to read or listen to, it's fantastic. And I listened to the audio version of it on Audible, and it was so good. The narrator was so fantastic. I loved the whole thing. So, you might be asking yourself, well, what rating did you give it? I gave it 5 stars. Can you believe it? I really, really did. And I gave it, like, I would say, like a 98 to 100%. It had lessons. It had characters that I fell in love with. It had characters that I didn't like. It had, everything about it was so fantastic. It was so creative. It was so different than anything I've ever read before. So let me go in here and read you the synopsis, okay? And, here, I'll put the little book up here again for you. On Christmas Eve, 5 years ago, Holly was visited by 3 ghosts who showed her how selfish and spoiled she'd become. They tried to convince her to mend her ways. She didn't, and then she died. Now she's stuck working for the top secret company, Project Scrooge, as the latest ghost of Christmas past. Every year they save another miserly grouch. Every year Holly stays frozen at 17 while her family and friends go on living without her. So far, Holly's afterlife has been miserable, but this year, everything is about to change. And what you think this book is about, it is totally not about. You really think at the beginning of it, that, and I to be honest with you, like the first 20 minutes, I did not like this book. I mean, I almost like DNF'd it because I didn't like it. But you think it's going to be like a retelling of A Christmas Carol, which it kind of is, but like in such an obscure way. I don't even know, like this is such a genius, creative idea that she came up with. I'm just so incredibly impressed with this whole book and the ideas that went into it and every little detail and every little thought. I mean, it's just genius how she came up with this idea. And the thing is that what I love, because if you read books, well, I mean, if you read books, which is probably why you're watching a BookTube video, I am more character-driven than plot-driven. So, I don't smoke pot. I've been sober for 24 years, so I don't know why that popped out. But if you do, hey, have fun with what you do, okay? It's not for me, okay? It just isn't for me. But anyway, this is my 4th video today, so, okay. But anyway, I am character-driven. I'm not plot-driven. I love to read characters, okay? And I love to read characters that you really, truly can get behind and understand and see who they are. And, when I started reading about Holly Chase, okay, let me just kind of give you the backstory. This won't ruin it for you. Her dad is a famous movie director, and she has like a following of like 50,000 people on Instagram, and she's always taking selfies, and she's a mean girl. I mean, she is totally Regina George. She's a mean girl. I mean, flat out a mean girl. Mean to the staff, mean to her friends, mean to everybody, and she lacks total empathy. She has no compassion in her heart, and she's just she's not a nice person, you know what I mean? So anyway, I went into this and I thought, okay, is this gonna be some kind of like trite Hollywood turns into like, let's do the Hollywood story of A Christmas Carol, and it's gonna be real like, you know, Pretty Little Liars kind of deal? And that's what I really thought it was going to be going into it. I really thought, and I had already bought the book with my credit, so I was like, hey, I'm listening to it. It's only like so many hours. It was like 10 hours, I think, on Audible. And I listened to books at 2 times speed, so it was like 5 hours. But, you know, I went into it and I was thinking to myself, is this going to be that? Is this what it's going to be? Some corny retelling of A Christmas Carol, but like the Scrooge is like this, you know, rich girl from California, which yes, that is the story, but oh my God, it's so much more. It is so much more. I was bawling my eyes out at the end. I will tell you, the book does not end even up till, like, I would say, I don't know, I was listening to an Audible, the last half an hour. You really don't know how it's going to end. You really don't. And they give you clues along the way, and this is what I love about it, right? Is it's not a mystery, but kind of, and indirectly it is, but they give you, like, clues along the way to help you figure it out, and you really could figure it out, but kind of not even, not the very end. Like, there was something that kind of is thrown out in like the last 2 minutes, and I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Like, okay. You know, it's interesting. And so the direction that you think it's going to go, and then it gets thrown again, and then it gets thrown again. And so like the last half an hour to an hour of the audiobook, which I don't know how many pages that is in the book, but you are like, I don't even know. I'm lost for words right now. You are shown things that you're like, that were going on all along that you thought, what? Like, this is crazy. I didn't see this coming. Like, I didn't see this character doing this, or I didn't see this happening, and where did this come from? And so it's great. And I don't know, I haven't looked in here, but I guess I should. I don't know if she writes mystery books or what she does, but she should, because she's fantastic. Let me see this. I want to go into the author profile for a second and read you a little bit about the author profile. Cynthia Hand is the New York Times bestselling author of several books for teens, including I haven't read anything by her. The Unearthling trilogy, The Last Time We Say Goodbye, My Lady Jane, with fellow authors Brody Ashton and Jody Meadows, Afterlife of Holly Chase, and the upcoming novel My Plain Jane, also with Ashton and Meadows. Before turning to writing for young adults, she studied literary fiction and earned both an MFA and a PhD in fiction writing. She currently resides in Boise, Idaho, with 2 cats, 1 crazy puppy, 2 kids, and an entourage of imaginary friends. Fantastic. This book was absolutely fantastic. I loved everything about it. And it is the perfect Christmas book. And the whole thing doesn't take place just at Christmas, I will tell you. And I don't want to say a whole lot more about it than that because I don't want to ruin it for you. But like, I am so surprised that more people aren't talking about this book. This book was genius. This book was absolutely genius. I love when you read a new concept. You know, I was saying in another video of mine that I did, I was talking about like, I remember being in college and my professor in a class, we were reading Romeo and Juliet. Ugh, boring. I'm sorry, if you love it, it's great. Great, go read it. Go read all of Shakespeare. I don't get it, okay? And it's boring. But anyway, we were reading Romeo and Juliet, and my professor said, you know, it's interesting because when you look at Romeo and Juliet, it was really the last creative original idea. Everything after has kind of been a spin off of what we already had. And that's kind of true to some degree, but what's so cool about this book is that the author doesn't hide from the fact that she's stealing the concept of Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Okay, the dog started barking. But anyway, what I love about this book is that, you know, she doesn't hide from the fact that this is like a retelling of Dickens' A Christmas Carol. In fact, she so fully embraces it, you do not for 1 second ever like forget that this is about the Christmas Carol. I will say this, that if you're going to read this book and truly enjoy it, know the story of the Christmas Carol. Either, you know, or is it the Christmas Carol or A Christmas Carol? A Christmas Carol. A Christmas, what, Peter? A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I watch like 5 versions of it every year for Christmas. I watch the George C. Scott, I watch the Patrick Stewart, I watch, my favorite is the Jim Carrey Pixar, I don't know. But that's my favorite one, I don't know why. But I watch all of them, the 1930s version. I love the story A Christmas Carol. But you have to kind of know it if you go into this. If you don't know it and you don't know any like reference to Dickens whatsoever, like this book will kind of like go over your head. Some of the jokes and some of the cute things about it. So, like I said, I gave it 5 stars. I gave it, you know, a 98 to 100%. It was, I mean, there was a little bit more. I don't know, like I really, like after reading it, I don't know what else it could have been, you know, that would have made it so fantastic. I will say then, the end seemed wrapped up rather quickly. There were a couple things I would have liked to have seen at the end as far as like, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody, like I said. But that being said, I mean, I walked away from this book. I literally drove around for an extra hour last night because I didn't want to come home before finishing this book. Okay, that's how good it was. It's been a long time since I've been like that with an audiobook. So, I will say this, that it is definitely a winter book. You want to read it in the winter. It is definitely a Christmas book, but it wouldn't ruin it for you. And I really think that even if it's past Christmas, read this book. It's such a creative idea. It's so good. I'm so impressed. And I want to read more of what she's written because I really like her writing style and her creativity. And if that's what her other books are about, hey, I'm all there for it. So thank you so much, Cynthia Hand, for this book. You really made my Christmas holiday season. It was literally one of 3 books that I was reading for Christmas, and I'm so happy that I did. So anyway, go check it out. Follow me on Goodreads. I'm over there, you know, putting in what I'm reading and all that kind of stuff. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Bye.